The EU is there for you, for your businesses, or for you as an individual if you want to set up a business to get started. It's the flagship program. Today we cover about 45 countries. So it is all the European Union countries plus neighboring countries. We bring together for several months a new or an unexperienced entrepreneur, and we match them with an experienced so-called host entrepreneur.
First of all, who can participate? Young entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs, it is one of the biggest advantages of this program is that we don't have sector restrictions.
The new countries that are new options to be selected to do the exchange with the host entrepreneurs are Singapore, USA, Canada and UK. Of course, the experience in these countries can be a really good opportunity because we'll build also soft skills.
Hello everyone, welcome to another podcast episode by Entrepreneurship Talks, and here we are going to discuss about the program Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, one of the greatest programs in my opinion. And I have here some great guests. Let's dive into this topic. And would you like to introduce yourself? Let's start with Ralph, for example. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your background?
Thank you very much, Theodoros. It's a great honor to be in this podcast. My name is Ralph Diestelost. I'm working for the European Commission, the executive agency for the European Innovation Council and Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Agency in Brussels based, and we are implementing funds on behalf of the European Commission. I'm the program coordinator for this funding program of the European Union called Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, and I'm very happy to share some thoughts with you today.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Clarissa, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Clarissa Pierobon. I'm working in the Canary Island Institute of Technology that is located in Spain, in the Canary Islands. I'm working in the Department of Innovation in European founding projects, especially in the Enterprise Europe Network and this amazing program that is the Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs. And we are coordinators of one of these consortium in this program.
Amazing. And now let's go to Manos.
Yes, hello. I'm Manos Andreadis, Project Coordinator at Asset Technology, a private company established in Athens, Greece. We act as intermediary organization of the Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs program since 2011, so almost from the very beginning, having managed so far more than 700 applications and 500 exchanges. So we are glad to share all these experiences with you and the audience.
That's a lot of applications and exchanges. I see it has a great impact. Okay, I would like to ask Ralph a question. How did the initiative start and what is the European Commission's main objective through this program?
Thank you very much, Theodos. Let me first say that it is one of the programs of the European Union promoting entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial skills. But if I were to say for the business world, it's the flagship program. It is funded under what is called today the Single Market Program. But what is most important for you is that the EU is there for you, for your businesses, or for you as an individual if you want to set up a business to get started. Now, it all started in the mid-2000s, let's say, when in Europe it became, in fact, very clear that we are lacking behind in terms of some key economic indicators. The one that is usually most quoted is that X number of percentage out of 10 people would want to set up a business in Europe. And there it was clear we're lagging behind main competitors and global partners such as the US or Japan. So the European Union had to do something, and the EU introduced so-called Think Small First principle. That applied to any future legislation where the small business needs were particularly looked at, but it also meant to mainstream the principle of what it means entrepreneurship and what you need to succeed as an entrepreneur throughout several national and European strategies in learning, in education, in initiatives to reinforce second chance for failed entrepreneurs, in general for reinforcing the topic of upskilling, that people get the right skill set for the future jobs, and above all, of course, to become more entrepreneurial, to become business people themselves. In the beginning, it started with very, very modest means from a budgetary point of view. The program was born in 2009, and after after some years, it became clear that there is a real market demand, that people wanted to learn from other experienced entrepreneurs in another country. The program was gradually extended beyond the European Union. Today, we cover about 45 countries. So it is all the European Union countries plus neighboring countries. And one thing throughout all these years never changed. It was that the exchanges are by default transnational. We bring together for several months a new or an unexperienced entrepreneur, and we match him with an experienced so-called host entrepreneur. These two, obviously, by the nature of the program, have different culture or economic backgrounds. And this means one thing that I always underline. This program is very much about European integration at the individual level, because one new entrepreneur goes abroad to be mentored by another experienced entrepreneur in another country. So the rationale for this program is to fill a real market gap, to boost entrepreneurial attitude, and in the end, to lead to the creation of new businesses in Europe. The program's open to all sectors, and there's one aspect that is, I think, very important for anyone who has a doubt if entrepreneurial career is for him or her. It can be considered a test, because if you want to engage in an exchange at relatively low cost, you can test if the entrepreneurial career is for you. You may say in the end, it's not my piece of cake. That's fine as well. Only Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs offers this specific chance at international level.
Exactly, and you can try that with low risk. Like you get funding from it, and also, like as you said, there was a big demand already, and we have the talent in Europe. So yes, this initiative, I believe, filled exactly the gap we needed for. From your experience, how does this program contribute to the resilience of the European ecosystem compared to other funding schemes?
That's a very good question, because in fact, yes, every program that comes with public funds need to demonstrate the usefulness, added value, and impact. As regards Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, I would say it is complementary to other funds, and the nature of the exchanges actually makes participants much more resilient than before they engage. It is the nature of this one-on-one, and this is really important, because every exchange is tailored to the very needs of the two entrepreneurs and their specific conditions and aspirations. There's a stereotype that to receive any funds, you need to adapt your idea to a given template or any given bigger political topic, right? I mean, we know this from other national, regional, European funding schemes, but this one is different. Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs is really different. What is unique here is that you can apply, first of all, at any moment. You need to fulfill some eligibility criteria, etc., but you can apply any day throughout the year. There is no such thing like cut-off dates. The second thing is we don't ask entrepreneurs or those who want to become to fill in a specific kind of rigid template. You develop your idea together with the host entrepreneur in another country, and you're completely free to engage in a collaboration, whatever it may be. So that makes the program so diverse, and it attracts people from many different backgrounds who have all different plans for their lives and businesses. Our local business support organizations, such as Clarissa and Manos, here on board today, they play a key role in that, because they bring all these ideas together and they work together with the entrepreneurs, and only they know best how to shape the match in a perfect manner. So thinking about how concretely it reinforces resilience for our entrepreneurs, let me share a very few facts. Almost 40% of what we call would-be entrepreneurs, so those who might set up a business, they started in fact a business after the exchange. 40%.
That's a great percentage.
I think it is indeed. Nearly 70% of the new entrepreneurs who participated successfully consolidated their business afterwards. So that's way more than half who went and said that it helped consolidating what I was already doing or scaling up. Participation in I increases considerably also the chances of survival, because they're better equipped for the challenges in the market. 25% of host entrepreneurs, so those that welcome the new entrepreneur, plan to set up a joint venture with a new entrepreneur after the exchange. So 1 out of 4. I think it's also a very good figure. In general, so the Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs participation in general strengthens the single market connections, because people understand that there is a common market beyond the national borders and they know how to operate in this single market. It also addresses something that I think is very important in some parts of Europe. It addresses youth unemployment. It delivers tangible results on entrepreneurial education and provides hands-on mentoring for the new entrepreneur. And this is that we make the kind of give the touch to the modern EU policies. It contributes to the green and digital transformation of Europe, something that no entrepreneur entrepreneur today can anymore ignore, because the EU requests the local Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs partners to attract, in particular, those entrepreneurs to pursue social, green, or digital business models.
Indeed, I cannot imagine of a better program that combines all of these things. Like, you give people the opportunity to go to another country. Imagine if you want to see how businesses actually function in another country. So you go there, you get funding, you get mentorship, and the percentages are incredible. Like, you have the possibility to form your business afterwards, well equipped, very well equipped. And you mentioned even some people form a new business with their host entrepreneur. How else would that be possible? Incredible.
Indeed.
And how do you see the future?
When we think about the future, I think it's good maybe to think about what we have achieved and how this can be further scaled up.
Yeah, would you like to share with us some of the milestones?
Yeah, look, I said in the beginning that it was born in 2009. So that means today we are in year number 17 of this program, and we are kind of quite close to reaching 15,000 exchanges. So in 17 years, you can make the math, but it means for us today that more or less per year we match 1,000 entrepreneurs through this Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs program. And 15,000, I mean, it's not only a figure. Think about it. It is 15,000 times a real cooperation between two individuals who cooperate for several months together. And, as you underlined yourself again, afterwards they continue. Not all, but many. In our database, every day there are new potential participants added. Manos said it earlier. Remember the figure he gave for the number of applications they processed as a local eye partner. It's amazing. And that means that we have a non-stop process nurturing our database for candidates to be matched to each other. Our local agents, such as Manos and Clarissa, they are present in this session. They can use these new candidates to find the best possible matches in more than 40 countries. By the way, in Europe and beyond. We will hear about it a little bit later. There are other statistics I would like to share, which maybe show what we have achieved, but also where we can still grow in terms of importance and relevance for the society. Here's the first one. 52% of the new entrepreneurs are nowadays women. I think that's really cool. The program has clearly contributed to more women entrepreneurship in Europe. But I need to combine it with a wish for the future, because the rate of host entrepreneurs is a little bit lower. We have only 27% of host entrepreneurs that are female. And I think here we should all kind of try to improve. And I think it will improve over time. That means actually for me as well that the Erasmus for Entrepreneurs program has a kind of societal dimension. We bring more women into the business world. And the second aspect I would like to mention for the future is the more the entrepreneurs from this program network with each other, the better spillover effects we could reach, because they all made a similar experience. The more they share, and it doesn't cost much, the better they can get further learning for free and opening new markets. So my dream is that an Erasmus for Entrepreneurs new entrepreneur returns home after his exchange. He stays in contact and extends the collaboration with his host entrepreneur. He networks with other entrepreneurs that participated. We call them the alumni. He consolidates his business, benefits from other support services such as tailored innovation or market access advice. That can be from European, national, or regional funding. It can be public or private funding. He develops into a viable, growing business with more and more employees and having a social and environmental consciousness. It provides innovative solutions for our European citizens, for instance, in developing advanced solutions in healthcare or any other sector you may imagine. And he may, in the end, become a host entrepreneur himself, giving something back to the program.
Truly amazing.
Now, the I participant, if I may still add, the I participant will stay interested in further support, because once you have inhaled this virus, I think it's there forever. That's why the client journey for us is very important. Again, I'm grateful to colleagues like Manos and Clarissa, because they are committed organizations trying to maximize the impact for the entrepreneurs who participate. So if we manage to better hand over successful program participants to other market players and to provide additional tailored services, then we can actually tap into the real potential of these people. And I think strong partners who can help here are members of the Enterprise Europe Network or cluster organizations. By the way, these are business organization networks that are also funded by the European Union. I think this is a win-win for all, and this can make a real difference for Europe's competitiveness. I'm working for that at the level of the European Union to make it happen every day.
Thank you so much for your contribution in this. It's actually life-changing, and we will analyze more about it later. So let's discuss discuss a few questions for the ones who might be interested. Like, Manos, would you like to tell us who can participate? Are there any age or sector restrictions for new entrepreneurs and experienced entrepreneurs?
Yes, Theodoros. I'm glad to share this basic information. First of all, who can participate? We could say that everybody can participate to this program, and the basic distinction is between the young entrepreneurs and the host entrepreneurs. Young entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs are the people who either have their own business less than 3 years, or they are would-be entrepreneurs, meaning that they have a business idea and a plan how to proceed with this, so they can register as new entrepreneurs. On the other hand, we have host entrepreneurs who have more than 3 years of entrepreneurial experience. So these two parties are going to match and establish an exchange. We understand that the term new or young entrepreneur is not related to age. So there are no actually age restrictions, but restrictions that have to do with the experience in running a business, which distinguishes young entrepreneurs and the host entrepreneurs who has the role of the experienced one or the new one. On the other hand, it is one of the biggest advantages of this program is that we don't have sector restrictions. Any business idea, any type of business, any type of economic activity is eligible with the Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs program. I would like also to share some statistics on this, that most of the exchanges until now we have noticed that cover the marketing field, the education and training field. Also in the Mediterranean countries, we have many exchanges in the tourism sector, also in the IT sector. We can say that the last 5 years, we have observed an increasing interest from the creative and cultural industry sector, which European Commission gives also a special emphasis in this, and also in social entrepreneurship, because social entrepreneurship is also considered one of the sectors that is in a rising phase in whole Europe. So we are glad to see that also this sector is increasing in the participation to the program. Also, concerning the sector, we can notice that many of the applications that we receive are expected to have digital, green, and social impact. So we can say that the program covers any aspect of economic activity, and this is why I said in the beginning that anybody can participate, and if there is a business idea to be implemented, and test if and how this can be a successful one.
Yeah, I hope people can understand how flexible that is, because there are so many programs out there that restrict you on age. You have to be under a specific age, for example, under 25 years old in order to participate. You have to be in a specific sector. And I have seen these programs. Some of them add great value, but Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs gives you all this flexibility, and also there are no deadlines. You can apply throughout the year. This is something that I value a lot, because it is like a helping hand for everybody. No restrictions. And there are so many people that need this, and there are maybe people that have completed their studies and want to try this afterwards, after they have all these learnings. Also, for the host entrepreneur, it also makes a lot of sense, as we were discussing before, like they need to have 3 years of experience, so they are able to mentor and transfer this experience to the young entrepreneur. Would you like to inform us about the matchmaking process?
The matchmaking process, I would say, is the most critical part of the program, because here we have new entrepreneur and the host entrepreneur come to an agreement in order to have an exchange of common benefit. As soon as a new entrepreneur and the host entrepreneur are registered to the program and their application is approved by the intermediary organization, they have immediately access to the program database. In this database, we have all the participants registered to the program. So the new entrepreneurs can search for host entrepreneurs in this database, and also the opposite host entrepreneurs can search the young entrepreneurs. This database gives some advantages, like we have automatic matches by following some specific criteria. The database makes suggestions of potential good matches, but also has a search engine where you put keywords and you search a counterpart to work with. So somebody, by searching in this database, can find 1 to 5 potential entrepreneurs to cooperate with. He comes in contact, they start communication, and they come to an agreement of mutual beneficial commitment. commitment. There, they describe an activity plan that they can implement during the exchange and the expected outcomes they wish to have from this exchange. So the matchmaking is through this database mainly, while when we have some very specific activities, very concrete and maybe that are not covered by the registrations that already exist in the database, the entrepreneurs can also search outside of this database, come in touch, inform about the program, and the only restriction here is that in the end, the entrepreneur who is not registered should make a registration in his or her own country through one of the local points, one of the intermediary organizations. I would like just to share an experience I had in the past. We had a young entrepreneur who he wanted to open a business in dry fruits. So we searched the database, we supported him together. We found one or two companies that had this activity. So he came back and told me, yes, but they are not activating at the specific fruits I want to have in my business. So we started searching outside of the database. He found in another country a very good business. So the host entrepreneur registered in the program and we proceeded with the match. Also to mention that the database is dynamic. It is updated every day, every single moment, I would say, because registrations are being submitted continuously. As you correctly said, we don't have deadlines in this program. So every day we receive many applications. All these applications, as soon as they are approved, they are directly included in the program database in order to facilitate this matchmaking process.
I see in typical Erasmus programs, you need to have already agreements that are arranged before, and you only have like a few options to select for your mobility. And this is something that I also value a lot, that you can add in the platform from whatever sector, and even if they do not exist in the platform, you can have some conversations and agreements and then you get them on. That's amazing. Okay, let's discuss about the financial support. I think many people would wonder, how much is the monthly grant and what expenses does it cover?
The financial support is also one of the main characteristics of the program because it gives to the young entrepreneur who is going to a destination country a monthly amount which varies from 600 euro up to 1,200 euro per month, depending on the destination country. Let me give you a couple of examples. If somebody goes to Italy or France, this new entrepreneur will receive 1,000 euro per month. If somebody goes to Spain or to Germany, receives 900 euro per month. If somebody comes to Greece or go to Portugal, receives 850 euro per month. This is given by monthly installments, and the purpose of this financial support is not as an income for work. It is a support in order to cover travel expenses, accommodation expenses, and the subsistence for living in another country, the country of the host where he is going to visit. These monthly amounts are considering co-financing, so somebody may need also to add some of his or her own money. And from my experience, this has to do usually with the city somebody actually visits, not the country. But the program foresees this monthly financial support depending on the country, like the examples I shared. And one last thing, only the young entrepreneur is the one who receives this financial support. Host entrepreneurs do not receive any financial support because they don't have these mobility expenses. The money covers these mobility expenses, travel, accommodation, and subsistence.
But you can choose any city, right? In that count.
Exactly, of course. Any city, any country of the countries participating to the program.
And the experienced entrepreneur, the host entrepreneur, as we say, they might not receive financial support, but I think in many ways this exchange benefits both sides. And can an exchange be done in parts or remotely?
Yes, this is also another advantage of the program. But before going to this, to what you said about having benefits for both parties, I think this is a basic prerequisite in order to have a successful exchange. This exchange has to be beneficial for both parties. We cannot expect that an exchange is going to be successful successful if only one part has benefits and the other not. So it is very important when they come to an agreement to see that there are expected outcomes and specific objectives for both parties. And now coming back to your question, the duration of exchanges is 1 month minimum up to 6 months maximum. So any exchange depending on the activity plan that the two entrepreneurs are going to agree has to be compatible with this duration from 1 to 6 months. The program gives the flexibility that one exchange cannot be continuous but be implemented in 2 or more slots. We have experienced this especially in the cases of new entrepreneurs who already have established their business. So they are calling us and ask, look, I cannot go for 3 months continuously because I recently established my business, so I cannot be away from my business and my city because then I will not be able to continue successfully with this. For these people, we have noticed that breaking this exchange into a number of slots helps a lot. For example, somebody can go for 3 weeks in March, another 4 weeks in July, and another 2 weeks in September. This helps a lot, especially the cases, as I mentioned, of the entrepreneurs who already established their business. The only condition here is that an exchange has to be completed in 1 year period, meaning that if somebody starts his exchange in January, for example, and builds this into slots, it has to be completed by the end of the year, by December. So these slots help a lot, and also we have the possibility to implement remote exchanges, but here we have to notice that there is no financial support in this case. As we mentioned earlier, the financial support is given for the mobility. So if there is no mobility, it is remote exchange, then there is no financial support. Though this remote cooperation can still be very beneficial because it gives the opportunity to start a cooperation, for example, in the beginning or for certain periods remotely, and then this can be shifted to an actual mobility with the young entrepreneur traveling and cooperating in person with the host entrepreneur. So the way somebody implements the exchange is flexible and it gives these advantages to support the establishment of exchanges that will bring benefit to the participants without the restriction of the time and the obligation to be continuously together in person.
You have so many options. We see, like, you can even do this in slots, in parts, or even remotely. And it makes total sense that you don't get reimbursed if you do it remotely. By the way, my personal opinion is for people to try to be in person because they will get a more enhanced experience, or they can do part of it remotely. I wanted to ask, it's the same period, the same maximum months that people have available if they choose to do it remotely?
Yes, first of all, if I remember well, they started during the period with COVID, which brought many restrictions. If I remember well, this is how it started with the remote exchanges, because many exchanges couldn't take place that time because of the restrictions of traveling, and that many companies adopted the remote work and cooperation. So this was a good opportunity to continue with the program, facing the problems of traveling. Now, about the time, yes, the in-person cooperation still can be up to 6 months, and if somebody has it remotely, this can be an additional, if I remember well, 3 months, because people want to be together. Actually, the remote is in very specific cases, as I said, during the COVID period, but you get the maximum when you cooperate in person. Be there, see how host entrepreneur works, how he manages the teams, and be in the real business environment. Something here that if you have a remote exchange, then as I mentioned, you can have the real mobility after that. Or if you wish, you can end up with only the remote. This is also an option.
Yeah, okay. And I didn't think about the COVID thing at first. So it was another option, especially these times.
And it is for 3 months, Theodoros. The remote exchange is only for 3 months because we consider it as an additional help, but we consider that people have to cooperate in person face to face.
Absolutely. All right. Clarissa, we haven't heard you at all. So let's move to you. And would you like to tell us what are the available countries outside Europe and why should an entrepreneur prefer them?
Sure. So, in the program, there were introduced some new countries outside Europe since the beginning of last year, so 2025. The new countries that are new options to be selected to do the exchange with the host entrepreneurs are Singapore, USA, Canada, and UK. So, I have been choosing these specific countries for the agreements that have been made, so it's not for some other reason. And these countries are really good for opportunities because the host entrepreneurs that are located in these countries are really high profile companies, are also small and medium enterprises, so are not, of course, big companies, but really high profile with a really good connection. So if a new entrepreneur, young entrepreneur that is going to with these entrepreneurs abroad will have a different mindset to explore a new connection, but also they are asking, these specific entrepreneurs from these countries are asking for entrepreneurs that are also high profile. So not people that are starting to do their exchange, they don't have an idea what kind of business they want to do. So it's a different type of entrepreneur that can do the exchange in this specific country. Is what we check that they want because they don't want to lose time. They are really busy. Like I say, the different mindset, everything is faster. So these are like the reason behind that. And of course, the experience in these countries can be a really good opportunity because we'll build also soft skills, because go outside your comfort zone, go outside Europe, explore another environment, another culture, another way of work is of course really enriching. So yeah, it's a different experience, respective if they want to do it in Europe. I think a little bit more full. Of course, we want to improve this kind of experiences, especially for the entrepreneurs that have their business really, really clear in mind, and they can choose really specific host entrepreneurs in their sector. For example, if there is an entrepreneur from Europe that is really interested to export, for example, Spanish wine or European wine in Canada, can go with an entrepreneur in Canada that is importing Spanish or European wine or European products and start after this exchange to do business collaborations with them. So for this, I'm saying that is business oriented because you have to know really clear what you want, go exactly with the host entrepreneur that can help you to improve your future business. And then a lot of amazing collaborations can happen in the future because we saw in our experience that is happening.
Perfect. Are there additional eligibility criteria or different grant amounts for these destinations?
So the duration of the exchange in these countries is a little bit less because, like Mano said, in Europe the experience can be done for a minimum of 1 month, a maximum of 6 months. But in this case, in Singapore, USA, Canada, and UK, can be done for a minimum of 1 month and a maximum of 3 months. So the maximum is free. This means also that the entrepreneurs that want to do the exchange there can share the experience. Like they can do just 1 month or just two, or the free completed, or also do it in two separate slots. Of course, I have to be taken in count in this case that the flights are not paid, so there is a financial aid like in Europe that is a little bit up, is between 1,050 euro until 1,200 euro for month, but the flights are not paid. So people have to be really clear in mind that this is the quantity that we are giving them and are expensive countries. So of course in Singapore, in USA, in Canada, and also in the UK, the accommodation is expensive, the flights are expensive. You need an insurance, a bigger insurance, because you need to cover your period just in case something happened, the medical expenses. So what we also suggest in this case is that people have enough money saved, not to use just the financial aid that we give to support the stay, but also save a little bit money, have something, do the calculation well, more or less check in advance how much is costing the accommodation, the flights, the medical insurance, etc., and check if they can do, and then choose the country. If it's impossible because it's too expensive, okay, in this case, Europe or some specific countries in Europe that are more cheaper can be a better choice. If someone wanna do the exchange in this country and don't have a lot of money, maybe a good compromise can be do the exchanges that just for 1 month. So we had some cases that didn't have a lot of money saved, but they say, okay, I wanna really, really go to, I don't know, to Singapore because I saw a video game company that is super high tech. I want to do an exchange with them because they are the best, but I can do it just for 1 month because of course I can't pay more time. But in this month they really stay full with the company, they take advantage of all the opportunities. So if you can do that, can be also a good compromise in this case. I know that it's complicated in these years, but I think that if someone really want to do it, can find a way to do it for a minimum of 1 month and can really open the door for the future. So the future return of money, collaborations, business that you can have. You know that if you go to Singapore, you will have your door opens for Asia because they have a lot of connections with other countries in Asia. If you go to Canada, Canada is a really big country. And if you go and do the experience there and then come back to Europe and do business collaborations, maybe the payments for your business that they will do in the future will be better respect and higher respect to the payments that you will receive for the same services in Europe. So people have to think about this pro and contra about the opportunities and check what is best for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it can be more complicated. Everything seems easier inside the European Union, but still they get the chance. They have the option. Many people want to go to UK or United States because they are great hubs, especially for entrepreneurs. So having this option and checking all the details still is a huge benefit. And also they get support in terms not only financially, they get a bit more of financial support, but also advice from the Erasmus of Young Entrepreneurs program. Okay, I guess there are some extra visa and paperwork concerns, like what are the requirements for the exchanges in non-EU countries in terms of visa and paperwork?
We decided to leave the maximum of 3 months of the exchange in these countries exactly for the visa problem, because the easier visa is to obtain it for the 3 months for this kind of exchanges. Of course, now is a geopolitical specific situation, so it's better for each people to see the specific case depending of the previous travel that they had, their nationalities, their residence. There are a lot of small things that have to take in count. So in general, we check case by case. We give some suggestions, but we can't do the visa procedures. Every entrepreneur is responsible for their own process. What we can do is just give suggestions and advices about the specific case. For example, of course, see if is a European entrepreneur from Italy or from Spain that want to go to UK. Of course, the general and easier way is the ETA, that is the online visa that you can have really fast. Or if also entrepreneurs from this country want to go to Canada or USA, it's a little bit easier, but it's really, really specific the case. So some countries have agreements with the USA, Canada, UK, and Singapore, and some others not. So depends from a lot of things. So we have to check case by case for this, and of course talk with the embassy and check the case. We can give some contacts, we can give some informations. So of course, as like intermediary organization of the program, we are always open to help in all the way that is possible. And also ISMEA supported entrepreneurs with a letter, with a supporting letter that can be shown to the embassy, guaranteeing that the entrepreneur is participating in the program from this time to this time, from this date to this date, from this period in the framework of this European program. So we can give this kind of support.
Would you like to share an example of successful collaboration in these markets, one of these markets?
Yes, we had a lot of exchanges. I think that until now, I think that 90% of the exchanges or more that we had were really, really positive. We had a beautiful experience with a young entrepreneur from Manos that is here with us, from a young entrepreneur from Greek that did the exchange with one of our host entrepreneurs that is located in California, in Silicon Valley, in the creation of donor platforms, so IT sector. And it was really an amazing experience. Now the two entrepreneurs are continuing the collaborations, and the young entrepreneurs is opening also his own company in USA. So it was a really good experience, a success story. We had other experience in Canada, in Singapore, and the UK. In Canada, for example, another young entrepreneur in the communication market from Spain. She did an exchange with a big company in marketing, communication marketing, digital marketing, and now they continue the collaboration. And of course, like I said before, for example, she continued the collaborations and she sells services to Canadian clients. So they are paying her a lot more respect to some clients that she have here in Europe or in Spain. So of course, they continue the collaborations, and the contacts contacts and clients that she created during the exchange are continue growing also after the exchange and continue to grow her own business. And then we had another totally different sector experience in UK. We had a Spanish entrepreneur in the wood sector, in the creation of chairs and a lot of things with wood. So I'm saying this just to show people that there are a lot of different sectors that can be joining in the program. And also in the design of woods materials, aircraft, etc. They are continue also the collaboration after the exchange. So yes, there are a lot of sectors, a lot of countries, a lot of opportunities. We really invite people to participate and open a little bit the mind, the mindset, and check like more for the future thanks to this opportunity.
Lots of information. I hope people got more insights about the Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs program, and I really wish they will try it. Maybe a general question like, would you like to share any other success of this program that you think had a large impact?
If you allow me, Theodoros, we have shared, especially from Clarissa, many cases, success stories, many useful information from Ralph. But about the success of the program, I know that you recently completed your exchange. So maybe it would be nice to hear from you about your feedback from your participation, some things about how you started, how you participated, what you did with your exchange.
Absolutely. Of course. And I would love to advertise this program as much as I can. Like with whoever I talk, I tell them this is an opportunity that you must try. I gained so much from this exchange. I stayed 6 months. I went to Stockholm. It's the place that I also studied in the past, but now with new lens, I went there to explore the entrepreneurial sector. And it shifted my mindset completely. The experience was fully transformative. I went there to establish Entrepreneurship Talks, to grow Entrepreneurship Talks, and every month I think I got so many learnings, which made me think that I just woke up to a different world. And Manos, you were reading my reports. I think you got some insights, like I could write more and more of what I saw there, how many connections I made. Networking was amazing. I met incredible people. Not only I made friends there in this space, but I met angel investors, super successful founders, billionaire founders from like Lovable, Notion that went there. There are so many vibrant ecosystems, and you suddenly realize that it is all very well connected, and it's actually the startup space, the entrepreneur space. It's not a large space. Everybody joins in a smaller community. I mean, this is an experience that you should not lose.
So I have a question for you, Teodoro, because yeah, you already did the experience. If you have some advice that you want to give to the future entrepreneurs that will join the program that can help them.
Yeah, the advice is to absolutely try this. You don't have anything to lose, only to gain. Try to network as much as possible. Do not maybe focus so much on particular tasks. Try to be flexible and open to all the new info and incentives that are coming to you.
I understand, Theodoros, from this piece of advice that you shared and from your description that the biggest benefit that you had from this was the networking, the opportunity of networking there, and that you met a totally different ecosystem where you dive there and gave you the opportunity to further develop entrepreneurship talks. But I would like also to ask you, did you face any difficulties? Because everything here now sounds very easy, very nice. But on the other hand, did you face any difficulties concerning the process of the registration, the matching, the cooperation?
Everything was super smooth. Let me think. It was not a significant difficulty that I faced throughout this process. I think everything was like already calculated, and I also had support from the program in anything I could need. The whole program, the whole exchange, the communications with the host entrepreneurs, I searched in the platform to see. I also checked if I could add an additional host entrepreneur because I was interested in collaborating with someone who had huge experience with startups. He was also an angel investor. He is really easily, I could add him in the platform and collaborate with them. It's not only networking, like networking was incredible, but also a complete mindset mindset shift, new knowledge, expansion of entrepreneurship talks in whatever I needed to do, new ideas about startup ventures that I could start later. Entrepreneurship talks grew incredibly through this. We now have, even if I'm not there right now in Stockholm, we now have weekly meetups of entrepreneurship talks by other people that joined our team. So in a very central place in Stockholm, we have weekly entrepreneurial meetups for founders and people interested in entrepreneurship or even investors that want to join and discuss. We grew our community to more than 600 members in just a few months. We received a grant. Every week we were seeing incredible growth, even in weeks.
These are impressive numbers and you have done excellent work. I'm sure Ralph has also some questions for you.
Yes, thank you for sharing your experience. It's, I think, a fantastic example that demonstrates the diversity and the richness of experience you can get in this program. You even mentioned you made friends. It's not only about business collaboration, but if you were now sort of wrapping it up in 2 to 3 words, what does this Erasmus for Entrepreneurs program mean to you?
It means so much. I find it difficult to wrap it in just 3 words, but maybe I could say a transformative life experience. It's a life experience which actually changes the way you see things and introduces you into entrepreneurship in another lens. That's why I believe everybody should try this. Even if you are not so interested in entrepreneurship, you will get so many benefits from engaging with someone else's experience in another country, living there, networking with people with their culture. It is only a benefit, a huge benefit actually.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. I have to thank you so much for sharing all of this information, and we will add some more info in the description of this episode in case people want to apply for this program, reach out, ask questions, but it's definitely a must try. Great. Thank you so much for joining this, and I hope we do another podcast episode with a super successful case study story of entrepreneur, and yeah, we might see their insights.
Thank you, Theodor.